Good morning. Welcome to Eckhart Tolle, A New Earth, Chapter 5, The Pain Body. Welcome in, everyone. I'm so happy you're joining. Whether you're joining live or on the replay, I'm glad you're here. Say hello when you pop in. I was, reviewing, of course, for book club, and I just want to read a couple of quotes from Chapter 5, The Pain Body, Eckhart Tolle, A New Earth. On page 129, if you have the soft cover, the paperback, it says, "The voice in the head has a life of its own. Most people are at the mercy of that voice. They are possessed by thought, by the mind. And since the mind is conditioned by the past, Since the mind is conditioned by the past, you are then forced to reenact the past again."
Okay.
And I just think that so far, I'm going to add you to the screen. Let me share my screen. Okay, it's telling me how to share my screen. Okay. So let's add that to the stage. And hello, everyone who's joining. Hi, Cloud Shadows. Hi, Gina.
Yeah, always looks like crap.
Pardon? You're live, by the way, Debbie. Oh, Debbie, you're live. Oh, I forgot I had a space theme from a meeting I had yesterday.
Well, that's nice.
So, hi, Vivian. All right, hold on. I got to get all my screens fixed up here. So chapter 5, The Pain Body. What did you think, Debbie, since you're live on here?
And I just started reading it about 10 minutes ago because I just found you. I couldn't find you.
I just posted it this morning because it's been a while.
No.
It's been a wild week.
Yeah. I read a few pages, but I apologize.
No problem. Okay, so how does that look? Okay, that's perfect. All right, so the pain body is the part of us that gets activated for a variety of different reasons. And that's what chapter 5 is about. So the pain body and the ego really, really, really like each other. They're like best friends, not the best combination, because our ego really likes to be fed by anger and any kind of negativity. Yeah, well, that's the ego. That's why when I read that gossip was from the ego and that complaining was from the ego, it was such a shock to my system because I'm a complainer. Like, that's my jam, right? I'm historically a complaining person. That's how I grew up. And gossiping, that's how I grew up. So I thought it was normal. So it was really hard to accept that, oh, that's feeding my ego. When I'm complaining, I'm taking the attention off of other things and I'm putting it on me. When I'm gossiping, I have the power because I have information somebody else doesn't, even if it's a fact, which is very hard for me. I have 5 sisters. Can you imagine?
Yes, because I had 4. Yes.
Right? It's like blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
So the definition of the pain body is an accumulation of old emotional pain that lives inside of us. So all of the pain of our life. So let's say you're in a relationship with somebody for decades. Good morning, Mandy. Oh, I just want to give a shout. Am I frozen on Zoom?
No.
I look frozen. Let me know. I'm like frozen on one screen and not on the other. Mandy is the person who gave me this book. So
yeah, it's her fault.
It's all her fault, Mandy. Yeah, I still look frozen. Oh, I know why. My computer's doing an update. Just perfect timing, right? Can anybody on YouTube hear me? And I forgot to add Facebook. All right.
I can hear you.
Okay. So let me know if you're on YouTube or Facebook, if you can hear or see me, because nothing. Zoom is frozen. Yeah, that's what I thought. All right, so
Oh,
let's pop off Zoom and go back in, Debbie.
okay. What?
I'm
supposed to
gonna
close it?
X out and go and start it over.
Okay.
I'll see you in a minute.
Okay. Wait.
Okay. Let's try that again. I think my computer got a little confused because it's trying to update, which I did an hour ago. And so the pain body is all the accumulation of all the pain from our full life. So if you've been in a relationship with someone for a long time and they have a hi Kelly, thanks Gina and Vivian. So if we've, say we've been in a relationship with somebody for 10 or 50 years, and every few weeks this person has some type of emotional fit, right? Gets angry and starts a fight. It's a very common pattern for that to happen to people because their pain body gets activated. And when your pain body gets activated, your ego, awesome. Let's try again. When your pain body gets activated, you are very, okay. All right. We're back. All right. Here we are. So, hi, Lori. When your pain body's activated, you have a tendency to act out. Like when a toddler acts out, that's kind of like the pain body. Toddlers act out because they're toddlers and they don't know how to manage their feelings like adults should. So the pain body is that part, and I've said it 100 times, but it's the part of us that is really connected to and really likes our ego.
It's the bitchy.
It's because we're all in pain. We all have this underlying trauma. And Zoom is frozen again, Debbie.
I am.
We both are. Good morning, Holly. We both are.
It's not frozen on my side.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not frozen.
On the main screen, it's frozen.
Oh.
I just think my computer's just not feeling good this morning. Do you want to
it's not frozen to me.
I know, but on my YouTube live stream, we're like,
everybody else is frozen. I'm sorry.
It's not your fault. Do you want to hop on the YouTube?
If I know how to do it. I know how to do it. I'll just find you on YouTube. Okay.
Here, let me put a link in the chat. Can you grab the link from the chat? I know
how to get to YouTube. I'll find you on YouTube.
Okay, okay. All right. Okay. Well, we're back. Sorry for all the blah. All right. So who read chapter 5? Be honest. I read this quote, the voice in the head has a life of its own. Most people are at the mercy of that voice. They are possessed by thought, by the mind. And since the mind is conditioned by the past, you are then forced to reenact the past again. The Eastern term for this is karma. When you are identified with that voice, we've talked about identification with things before. You don't know this, of course. If you knew it, you would no longer be possessed because you are only truly possessed when you mistake the possessing entity for who you are. That is to say, when you become it. Through complete identification with the mind, a false sense of self, the ego came into existence. The density of your ego depends on the degree to which you, the consciousness, are identified with your mind, with thinking. Thinking is no more than a tiny aspect of the totality of consciousness, the totality of who you are. So what this means is okay, good, Debbie. That was fast. Thank you. I'm glad you're here. Lori, that I have a comment about that quote too. Hurt people, hurt people. Okay. So we have our consciousness, which some people call it our soul, and we have our human mind, which includes our ego and our pain body. So we have to learn to let our consciousness, our soul, our awareness be the bigger person to override our pain body and our ego. Because our pain body and our ego, if you look at the news, that all of this negativity and all of this crazy stuff that's happening is activation of people's pain body and their ego. And they just feed on it. Nummy, 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 right? It's like a toddler getting his first taste of ice cream. Hi, Karina. So we need to raise the awareness, raise the consciousness, raise our vibration. So people who are living in this identification with I, me, I, me, who need love more than anybody else, because that's why they're so miserable, because they don't have the proper kind of love or tools to deal with their emotions and regulate their emotions. Yes, they are in a lot of pain. That their pain body is always activated, because it's about, I want to cause pain to others, whether they, and they don't know this, obviously they don't know that all of their hatred is a cry for love. They don't realize that. So it's up to all of us who are on a journey of exploration, on a journey of seeking, on a journey of raising our own conscious awareness. It's up to all of us to get those little bits and pieces out there to people who could possibly, good morning, Mel, welcome, could possibly have a little bit of a crack of light in their pain body or their ego, just a little bit, to show there's another way to live that's not so overwhelming. And Mandy said, being swallowed by the gray drape. Exactly, 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 exactly. The gray drape refers to someone who is, we made it up. It's not any official term. It refers to a person who is so miserable in their life because they've never even peaked at their pain for 1 second. So they live in a state of pain constantly, and their negativity affects every room they walk into. No, those are the people that probably will live that way forever. But there are people on the peripheral of those gray drape type people that have a little glimmer, and they have the possibility. They just have to choose which way they're going to go. Are they going to go feed into the ego, the hate, the misery, or are they going to open up to love and peace and awareness and raising their vibration? Nobody's vibration is high all the time. I talk to my friends and my family members, and my ego creeps up for sure, and I say things I probably shouldn't say. I'm not saying I follow this to the letter of the law. I'm not Eckhart Tolle, but I'm trying to get better. Like Sadness and Inside and Out movie. Exactly. Lori said my mom in a nutshell. So I want to say something about this comment that Lori said. Hurt people hurt people. That is absolutely true. And I have said the same quote many times because I saw it on Instagram. Of course, that's where I get all my best quotes from. And then I saw something again on Instagram that said, yeah, hurt people, but hurt people also heal people. And that really hit me, because I'm like, oh my God, I'm in the trap of making excuses for people who hurt others because they're hurt inside. But holy F and cuss word, cuss word, cuss word, I've been hurt, and I'm not trying to hurt anybody. And I know tons of people in my life that have been hurt just as bad as I've been hurt, and they're trying to help people. And it was just this like light bulb moment, and it's going to make me cry, because it's like, wow, I've been programmed to excuse the behavior of people who hurt me my whole life. And I think you all probably, hopefully this is resonating with some of you, like, wow, We have all been taught to make excuses for other people for their bad behavior. And that you can see in our society right now, our political sphere, all of the people who we're supposed to look up to, who are in charge and who are supposed to protect us, they're all hurting other people because they've been hurt. But there's another way to go about that. And it's not hurting others. It's trying to help others, trying to bring communities together, not trying to divide and conquer and hurt and maim and on and on and on. So, yeah, Lori, that is true, but let's shift it to, but hurt people also heal people. Because that really hit me when I saw that. It was like about a month ago. Vivian said the last two sentences on page 143. Let's go to that and read it. If you have your book. Oh, I have it highlighted in my book right there. That's amazing. Of course, I have almost everything highlighted, as you can see. People with heavy pain bodies usually have a better chance to awaken spiritually than those with a relatively light one. Whereas some of them do remain trapped in their heavy pain bodies, many others do reach a point where they cannot live with their unhappiness any longer. And so their motivation to awaken becomes strong. And that's what happened when Mandy sent me this book in 2014, because I wrote it down because I was so excited to get it. That's what happened. I've carried a very heavy pain body, as most of us have, and I've been wanting to awaken. And I want to tell a story. So I was listening to Eckhart Tolle earlier, and him and Oprah were talking about trees and the peace of trees. And I was very different than my siblings. I remember I was walking through what we call the country in southeastern Missouri, and we were walking from this little family cabin down to the river, and I saw this dead tree. And I was probably 11 or 12 years old. And I said to my siblings, we were all taking a walk, and I said, "Look how beautiful that tree is." And the person we refer to as the gray drape in the family said, "What are you talking about? It's just a dead tree." But to me, it was so beautiful. Like, and I remember thinking, wow, I'm very different from them. Like, I see things not good or bad, or in just I see things, I have a different perspective than this person does. And that kind of defines my journey through my family life. Like, I noticed the beauty in a dead tree as a 11, 10-year-old girl, whatever it was. And the others were criticizing me for seeing the beauty in a beautiful log that was laying on the ground in the path. So everyone has different perspectives, but that person is in a lot of pain, and still to this day is in a tremendous amount of pain, and is living in her pain body and living in her ego 24/7. And honestly, I don't know how she survives it. Kelly said, how do we deal with a spouse that has that trait? Well, therapy. This is my rule, because I've been married. It'll be 30 years in May. We've been married. 30 years in a marriage and having another person in your life is a long time. And it's stuff happens in marriages that is like, oh my God. Right. So my rule in my marriage is, if you are trying to get better and you are working on it and you are willing to get better and work on your problems, I will continue to work with you. Right? I will work on myself. You work on yourself. Let's work on our problems together. As long as there's progress and there's no physical or emotional abuse. Now, sometimes you're going through emotional or verbal abuse that you don't realize. That's another story. That's something that should be addressed very immediately, because the person saying the things that they're saying may have a learned behavior from their family. That's very common. We learn from our family of origin, the people we grew up around, and then we repeat those behaviors if no one calls us out and says, "Oh, you can't treat me that way." So it's very delicate when you have a spouse that is living in their ego, especially narcissistic traits, addiction traits, that they can't see the forest for the trees. This could be its whole own episode, right? Um, you have to, it reminds me of the scene in My Big Fat Greek Wedding where the women are trying to convince the man, the head of the household, to make a decision. And the woman says, the man may be the head of the household, but the woman is the neck and she can move the head. You kind of have to know your spouse enough to know when to approach them with a subject that you want to talk about. Because universally, men with these traits don't want to talk about anything emotional. I say make sure they have a good meal. If they have a nicotine habit, make sure they have their nicotine. Maybe have the big O. It's always better after the big O. Check their mood before you bring it up. So make sure they're in a good mood. Don't bring anything up when they're hungry. Don't bring anything up when they haven't had a big O in a while. Make sure they're calm before you approach them, and whatever your situation is, there's a way to lead up. My husband taught me that. He's been a coach for years. He talks about leading up. So lead by example, stuff like that. That's what that's just the beginning. There's never accuse, never say you did this, you made me feel, you. Talk about myself. I would like to, do something fun together. Start with something small and see how that reaction is. Definitely, if you're feeling activated emotionally, don't bring anything up. If you know he is feeling activated emotionally, don't bring anything up for sure, because that's the pain body activation that's in this chapter. We have cycles in our marriages and our relationships where, in some cases, every few weeks, this gets activated, and then it's terrible arguments. You want things to be calm, and you want to start small and lead by example. That would be my recommendation. Debbie said, I've seen friends slide into the gray drape and I've stepped away. Absolutely. Yep. That's what you have to do. Page 143. I think that's the one I just read. Page 143. Sorry, the Zoom. Yeah. What part of 143, Lori? Hi, Laura. Hi, Cloud Shadows. Name of the book, A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. It should be in the title you're on Facebook, Karina. Vivian said, some hurt people are blessed enough to be conscious enough to know we have the power to rise above the pain we carried. Yes. Lori said, I related to his reference to Christ as both pain and the possibility of transcending, page 144. Yeah, I love that he uses the spiritual version of Christ in here and other spiritual teachers. It says, why is the suffering body of Christ, his face distorted in agony, and his body bleeding from countless wounds, such a significant image in the collective consciousness of humanity? Millions of people, particularly in medieval times, would not have related to it as deeply as they did if something within themselves had not resonated with it, if they had not unconsciously recognized it as an outer representation of their own inner reality, the pain body. We all have inner pain. Everybody has inner pain. I don't care how famous somebody is or how many billions of dollars, everybody has pain. They were not yet conscious enough to recognize it directly within themselves, but it was the beginning of their becoming aware of it. Christ can be seen as the archetypal human, embodying both pain and the possibility of transcendence. And that is beautiful. It's so true. It is a representation of what we experienced and what we can become, transcending above. Kat, hi. Oh, Morning Book Club. I'll be on the lookout for this book and listen back. Yeah. I'm trying to make it a playlist, but YouTube's been a little weird and it's not letting me make a playlist. And I really want to put it all together in one playlist. Hi, Lisa. Lori said you hit already. Okay. Kat said an episode on difficult spouses or family would be great, especially with the upcoming holidays. I'd watch it. You want to hear a freaking hilarious story? So if you go back in my YouTube archives, I did a live 2 years ago about dysfunctional families. I did a few actually in a row. And I have no problem doing this again at all, like talking about dysfunctional families. And that's why I did it, for the exact reason you said that. And some people in my family watched it and were mad at me. I'm like, I'm not giving anybody's name. I'm not calling anybody out directly. And if you don't want people to know your behavior, don't be that way, and I was just telling the story of my dysfunctional background, not giving, sordid details, but just enough for people to realize, yeah, it was toxic, because everybody's family is toxic in some way. I don't care how beautiful they look on their Christmas cards or their Hanukkah cards or whatever they do, or their posts on social media. Everybody's family has toxicity, period. End of story. There's no perfect family, no matter how much some people like to say that. Janet Jackson, good morning, Miss Jackson. Love and healing and white light to you as well. Good morning, Gigi from California. You're up early. I'm watching the sunrise, I'm sure. It's finally not death hot here. So I'm in Central Florida. It's going to be 80 the next couple days during the day. It's going to get in the high 60s at night. So I'm excited about that. So what is next on the agenda here? So the pain body can lie dormant or become active. It takes over our thoughts and behavior, often leading to reactivity and suffering, which is what I was saying. And it comes in cycles. If you notice patterns, and he talks about it in the book, I don't remember if it's this chapter or the next chapter, but in our relationship, there are patterns where I can feel it coming. I can feel it coming. It can be with a parent, a spouse, a sibling, a friend. You can feel the energy shifting in the person. And you're like, I know the explosion's coming. The outburst is coming. Mostly people who have no idea how to regulate their emotions. And so they need to learn how to do that, which is what I was talking about earlier when someone asked about if they have a problem with their spouse. Okay. Debbie said, if the shoe fits, I've got a huge family wearing only one shoe. Same. We have 2 shoes in my family now. So we've got a full shoe of fully dysfunctional people who have no idea what the pain body is or the ego, and don't even have a clue or where to begin. And then we have another shoe. It's a smaller shoe. It's got a few of us in it. And so there's definitely a divide. The smaller shoe's getting fuller though, which is good. Vivian said the family members who were mad at you were the guilty ones. And that's very so true. So there are truth tellers in families. There are scapegoats in families. Scapegoats of the family are usually the ones who become aware of all of the dysfunction and call it out. So a dysfunctional family can't have somebody who tells the truth, so they ostracize that. And in big families, there can be several truth tellers. And the bigger your family gets, the more people will start becoming aware as they become adults and grow into their adulthood. So families who want to keep you toxic, keep you bad. You're the bad one. You're the bad one. You're the bad one. Don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype. You're not the bad one if you're the truth teller and they don't like what you have to say. Lori said the pain body is an addiction to unhappiness, and that is so true. And the pain body can cause other addictions. Yeah, Lori, I'm sure I'm sure probably all of us watching are the truth tellers because that's why we're here, right? We're all vibing in that. I don't like the toxic stuff over here. I want to be happier. So you take your toxic stuff and I'm going to go over here and I'm going to try to learn to do better for myself and for my family. So the addiction to unhappiness causes other addictions, right? Well, if I'm not gonna be able to trigger somebody, I'm gonna do something that will make them definitely be mad at me. So I'm gonna go drink, a dozen beers in an hour, and then we'll see things are gonna get real crazy. Janet says, every family has been a dysfunctional family at one time or another. It depends on how or if they join together to heal, if possible. Yeah, exactly. And sometimes they fracture, and some of them stay dysfunctional, and some of them try to work on themselves. Absolutely true. Okay, so the origins of the pain body is from past emotional pain, personal and collective. Right now, that humanity is going through a very big pain body moment, as you can see in the news. Each time a painful experience is resisted or suppressed rather than fully felt, part of that energy becomes stored as the pain body. So this is where addiction comes from. When you don't, and it doesn't have to be addiction to drugs or alcohol, it can be addiction to shopping, it can be addiction to gambling or sex or whatever, anything, or social media or porn, whatever the addiction is. When you avoid sitting and feeling, Aunt Jen said this on our Wednesday live last week. Sit with yourself, sit with your feelings. Let yourself feel your feelings. It's not going to kill you. Feeling your feelings is not going to kill you. People avoid their feelings. And also, there's another type of addiction that is less noticed. People who are busy. I can't sit still. I got to go. I got to do. No, that is a person who has not sat with themselves and is not comfortable with themselves. This is not a judgment. This is just who has the energy to go 24/7 and never stop until they pass out and collapse at night, and then they get up and they go all the time. All of these things are avoiding what you feel, avoiding that pain, avoiding that little me inside that needed someone to love them and needed someone to comfort them and needed somebody to truly connect with them. And that's something we don't talk enough about. Children, all of our little children inside of our minds, right, that we were, want connection. They want to really feel unconditional love from their parents or their caretakers, guardians, what have you. And when children don't feel that connection, unconditional love, that's when the pain starts. Nobody loves me. I'm not good enough. And they're not consciously aware that that's what's happening. Then they start acting out and then they get labeled, you're the bad kid because you did such and such. When if that kid was just loved unconditionally in the first place and guided correctly. Side note, if you have kids, I don't care what age they are or grandkids, buy the book, The Conscious Parent. It is the parenting equivalent of this book. It is written by Dr. Shefali Sabari. It's an incredible read, The Conscious Parent. And there's also The Conscious Family. So let me know if I'm still on here. I haven't seen a comment in a few minutes. The pain body gets activated. When we say triggered, you know that word triggered, activation of the pain body is what that is. Certain events, words, smells, feelings, television programs, movies, sounds, songs can activate the pain body. Something someone says to you can activate the pain body. I have someone in my life who's a joker all the time, constantly joking, and they'll say, tell the truth, like it's a Southern thing. And it triggers me so bad every single time. And I know they're just joking, but it triggers me so bad because I'm talking about the coffee pot, right? Why are you saying that? And it's just something I have to work out from my past, from my pain body. And once your pain body's active, it wants to create more pain, right? So when I was saying our relationships have these cycles where there's, every 6 weeks or so, there's a little emotional outburst by somebody, because we can only fit that pain in our bodies for so long before it has to come out. We just have to sit with it, take care of our side of the street, take care of you, take care of what is happening inside of you. Thank you, Kat. Lori said, so many children being hurt by people who should love them makes me so sad. Exactly. And that's the absolute 1,000,000% problem with the entire world. That is it. That one quote by Lori. This is the problem with the whole world. Period. That's it. This is the problem. Not abstinence training or take them to church every week or buy them new clothes and jewelry and a car at 16. No. We just want love. Everybody wants love, especially children. This is it. This is it. Quote of the day. Cat lives with a joker. It can be challenging, especially when the joker jokes and is serious in the same tone and gauges whether they're going to say they're joking or serious by your reaction. That's troubling. Laura, my partner is a food addict, sugar, type 2 diabetes. His vision is bad, probably losing a limb. He sneaks candy like it's a drug. Oh, yeah. And that's really hard to navigate. That is very hard to navigate. Because what can you do? If it's an adult who's able-bodied, they can go buy as much sugar as they want. Cat gave up sugar. The older I get, the less I desire sugar. I used to be like a chocoholic. I still love chocolate. Don't get me wrong, but I can barely tolerate milk chocolate anymore because it's too sweet. I'm moving way more towards the savory end. Debbie, all you need is love from John Lennon. Right, exactly. And how many years ago was that? 50 years ago, almost, probably. And now look where we're at. This is the shift right now in our society, we are shifted so far to one side as far as the hateful rhetoric and the cruelty and all of that. It has to shift back. This is not sustainable. Kat said, yeah, decided in the doctor's office because he didn't want meds or injections. Yep. Lori said, is that the person who wants to be the victim for the attention or ego? Yeah, so there are lots of victims, lots of victims. That's another major ego thing. Oh, poor me. People get identified with being the victim. People get identified with illnesses. People get identified with their addiction. People get identified with motherhood, fatherhood, being a teacher, being a nurse, being an astronaut, being an actor, whatever. It's their whole identity. And then if that goes away, it's a devastation to them. And they have very, did you guys ever watch Game of Thrones? The actor that played like the main character, Jon Snow, I think his name was, he went into a very severe depression, had a mental health crisis after that show wrapped. And very likely because, not being negative towards him, but he probably very likely was so identified with that character and that job that it, took a toll on his emotional health. Laura, I gave up trying to help him. I was ruining my health trying to save him. Right? So let them, as Mel Robbins says, let them. You have to, we all have adults in our lives that we're like, we try to help, we try to help, we try to help. And then it's like, you're an adult. If you want to sugar yourself to death, there's nothing I can do. I've tried, I've done everything I can, or somebody who overeats or somebody who undereats or somebody who works too much or does, whatever it is, you got to just let them. And as long as you don't let yourself, you just put up a boundary. Laura, he's the victim of his family. Game of Thrones. Debbie said, when children don't get enough love and attention, they act out, and thus the negative response begins. Exactly. And it's a cycle. Then they're told, you're bad. You're the troublemaker. You're the this. You are. And then they believe it. They believe it. And then you're telling them, like it's just like a parent telling their kid, you better be a doctor. You better be a doctor. And then the kid becomes a doctor and hates their life forever because they didn't do it for them. Same type of thing. Okay. When we identify with our pain body, we believe the emotions are who we are. And this fuels destructive behavior, emotional outbursts, and recurring suffering. So remember, we have our consciousness, our awareness, our soul, and our human brain that has the ego and the pain body. And if we're identifying with I am this angry person, I am this, whatever it is, I am this thing, we're not that thing. We're not our ego. We're not our pain body. Those are from our amygdala, the primitive brain, because we needed to survive hundreds of thousands of years ago, right? So we have these primitive reactions to things, but our soul and our consciousness gives us a different perspective. So we need to shift from less ego, more conscious awareness. And that's true for everybody. Collective pain bodies, which is what we're going through now. Groups, nations, and genders also have collective pain bodies based on shared trauma, wars, oppression, discrimination. Absolutely. And these can influence cultural and societal behavior. We're going through this now in our country, in the United States. We're being led by people who have very big pain bodies, who are very unhealed people. And it's causing the rest of us innocent bystanders pain. And I don't even have to go into all of that because we all know what's happening out there. So how do we dissolve the pain body? This is the key from this chapter. Become aware. Observe it. Observe it. Then it loses its power. So I got activated the other day. I had a very important meeting. I talked about this if you were on the live last night. I got very anxious about something. I was very worried about something, and I observed it. And I did a little technique where I noticed 5 things in the room to kind of pull me out of that spiral. And it worked, but I practiced it. But observe it. Observe it. Become aware of it. And then it loses its power. And this is true with anything. Just observe, don't judge, don't be hard on yourself. Don't be like, damn it, I did it again. I'm such a loser. No, just observe. That happened. Do something new. By witnessing the emotional energy in the present moment, it cannot feed new pain. So we don't want to feed it. We want to observe it. Just be aware and then go on to the next thing. This is why meditation is so important. Being still, being present, and dissolve your pain body over time. No matter how long you work on this, you're still going to have moments where it acts up. But the true spiritual awakening, the freedom from your pain body, involves seeing the pain body as separate from your true self. It's like this thing over here that lives in my brain, but is not part of who I am as a conscious, aware being. It's separate. And then this shift, when you make that shift, it makes a movement from unconscious reality to conscious presence. So we're often oh, hi, Trent. I've been thinking about you. I hope you're doing okay. We've been living in a very unconscious world, and we need to move into conscious awareness where we unconditionally love without letting people cross our boundaries. And we observe what's happening, and then we don't judge ourselves for it. Lori said, I have said for years, women never start or perpetuate violence. Right. It's when we had females running for president and you heard the narrative, they're too emotional. What if they start a war because they got their period? And let me tell you, Hillary Clinton was way past period days when she ran for president. But then look at the films on TV or the videos where the Dallas Cowboys fans, throw their TV in the trash or shoot their television or bash it with a hammer or burn their jerseys because they didn't win a game. Those are men. You don't see women burning their, makeup kit because they didn't get the Instagram following they wanted, right? Who started all the wars in history? Men, because they've been in charge. We'd have less war. I don't believe in war. I don't think it's necessary. My husband's like, it's necessary because of this. I go, but if we went back in time and everybody didn't have their ego, we wouldn't have to ever have a war. We go inside, they go outside. Right. Exactly. And that's the trouble. So I hope for those of you who are here, and if you're watching the replay, I hope you enjoyed this. The book is so much more dense than that. I'm glad we're here to talk about these things. If you're reading the book, I'm sure you're going to have to read it multiple times to get what you need out of it. And every time I read it, I get 100 new things out of it. And it's beautiful. Love each other unconditionally, never letting anyone cross your boundaries. Let people do their thing. You can't force or change an adult to do anything. Just do you. Take care of your side of the street. Debbie said, I'm waiting until we call it herstory instead of history. That's funny. I had at City College of San Francisco in the early 90s, I had a class that we had to write our own herstory for. That class changed my life, actually. It was a women's health issues class. Thank you, Kat. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you to all my channel members and everyone watching on Facebook and on YouTube. I appreciate you all. I will be live Monday night for sure, maybe Monday morning for Meditation Mondays. Thank you all. Mwah. Have a wonderful day. Have a great weekend. Bye. Thanks for being here.